In this video, I will be discussing the impact of diets on dietary hormones, appetite control, and obesity. My research question will concentrate on if the implementation of a high-protein diet will help appetite control and lower ghrelin levels. First, we should identify the meaning of each term I have mentioned in my research question, beginning with appetite. This is when your body desires a bodily need. In this case, is feeding your body. Appetite can be controlled by many factors like hunger, satiety, and liking of the food. Hunger is a primary motivation to eat that begins food consumption, usually the initiation of meal consumption in which you start to eat food. Following hunger is satiety. This is a feeling someone has after eating a meal depending on how satisfied they are with their meal. If someone is still hungry and craving more food after their meal, their satiety levels are low. And on the other hand, if someone is full and satisfied with their food, they will have higher levels of satiety, which often leads them to stop eating. Additionally, the desire to eat can be based on the liking of the food. A person can lose motivation to eat based on foods that they do not necessarily like or want at the time. Or they could have the desire to eat more because they enjoy eating the food. These factors are important to mention when talking about appetite, but these feelings and motivations are often initiated by signals within our body. There are ways that our body controls appetite cues and regulates weight. Hormones within our GI tract play a vital role in communicating between our gut and brain that regulate appetite. The hypothalamus within the brain is responsible for making adjustments in food intake based on the cues it is given from the hormones. There are different types of hormones that are within our GI tract that carry out different functions. This communication can either initiate or inhibit food consumption based on how the brain interprets a hormone. These interpretations can either tell the body it's hungry or full. Throughout this video, I'm going to concentrate on one hormone that I believe is significant in the process of appetite control and regulation. The hormone that we will look at is ghrelin. This is commonly known as the hunger hormone that can determine how we control our appetite. Ghrelin is a gut hormone that is produced by the stomach to trigger the desire to eat. It is produced when someone is fasting or not eating for a long period of time and is stopped produced after meal consumption. When the stomach is empty, it releases ghrelin signals to the brain that create a desire to eat and a greater appetite for food. Ghrelin contributes to homeostasis, to energy homeostasis specifically, that can be explained as energy in and energy out, or food intake and energy expenditure through physical activity. This process is shown in this image. As you experience hunger and fullness throughout the day, the energy in and energy out can move back and forth similar to a seesaw. Ghrelin maintains this balance by keeping glucose and insulin levels at a steady rate in order to keep bodily functions running smoothly. Without this energy balance, hunger cues would not work effectively and could result in risks to diseases including obesity. It plays a critical role in signaling the body when food intake is necessary. By eating an adequate amount of food in every meal, the production of ghrelin levels can be maintained and risk of disease can be reduced. With obesity being one of the biggest health threats, there are risk factors that have been associated with obesity. One being eating patterns. Eating patterns are based on the routine foods and drinks that are within an individual's diet. This is known as a modifiable factor in which it can be adjusted by taking measures to change their lifestyle. By choosing foods with higher nutritional values like whole foods, vegetables, and fruits, can prevent risk of obesity. One macronutrient I will look closely at that is important to include in our diet is protein. Leaving about a quarter of your plate for protein can help you get a sufficient amount of protein and allow for better eating habits. Protein is an essential macronutrient that is composed of smaller amino acids. Proteins use amino acids to produce energy and carry out essential bodily functions. It plays an important role in the function of our bodies, including metabolism and bone and muscle growth. A few functions include maintaining fluid balance, providing the building blocks for body structures, and forming hormones, enzymes, and neurotransmitters. By carrying out these functions, the body is able to rapidly repair and rebuild for our bodies to live a healthy lifestyle. It promotes strong immunity and contributes to heart health. Additionally, it protects against diseases like diabetes by lowering blood pressure and maintaining body weight. Proteins are able to convert glucose in our body to generate the energy for these processes, such as bone repair and synthesis of hormones and enzymes, through the breakdown of amino acids. Proteins are found through building blocks called amino acids. These amino acids make up the structure of a protein that are essential to function properly. 8 of the 20 total amino acids are not synthesized naturally in our body, so we must consume them in our diet. If we are not sufficient in protein, it could lead to consequences within our tissue, causing an inability for growth and repair. Ultimately, this imbalance of protein will reduce muscle mass and decrease an individual's metabolic rate. Unlike fats and carbohydrates, protein has a higher thermic effect on the body, in which it requires more energy to process protein than other nutrients. As your body works harder to digest the protein, it stimulates an increase in metabolic rate and causes a more satiating feeling after a meal. Although protein cannot be stored anywhere in the body, it is a vital source of fuel when energy levels are depleted, by restoring tissue and recovering muscles that keep metabolic processes efficient. Here are some good sources of protein that can be implemented in your diet and included on your meals. There are plant-based proteins, sources like beans, quinoa, and nuts, and animal sources like turkey, chicken, and yogurt. Although eating enough food impacts the maintenance of ghrelin levels, the nutrients within your meal are just as important. Protein is found to be an important nutrient for your body and has been shown to have a significant impact on ghrelin levels. Based on its high thermic effect on food, protein digestion requires more energy to digest, allowing for a delay in ghrelin response. Protein is also crucial in stabilizing blood sugar levels that prevent spikes of hunger produced through ghrelin. Therefore, consuming a higher protein diet will maintain appropriate levels of ghrelin and help control an individual's overall appetite. One study focuses on the effect of high protein diets on appetite and hormones that play a vital role in appetite control. It hypothesized that if an individual lacked sufficient protein in their diet, they are more likely to have reoccurring feelings of hunger, leading to a higher food consumption and overeating. This ultimately results in weight gain and a higher risk of obesity and diabetes. Including more protein dense food in your diet, it will allow for a decline in energy intake. They look into hormones involved in appetite regulation and how they contribute to appetite regulation, including ghrelin. Each group was assessed based on dose, protein source, and placebo type. They also tested the effects of protein intake for short and long term. The short term was less than 5.5 hours, and long term effects were 3 days to 9 months. Data was collected by taking notes of the participants' appetite, hunger, and fullness markers within the specific time when they consumed the protein. Though, through these tests, it was found that ghrelin levels changed in groups that consumed higher doses of protein. Most consistent data was shown through short term effects. For example, when a participant ate a breakfast with a higher percentage of energy from protein, it affected ghrelin levels the most by regulating hunger cues. On the other hand, a low protein diet was correlated with higher concentrations of ghrelin. Although the dose amount of protein could be a determining factor of appetite control, there was no clear evidence that showed the most effective type of protein to consume. The test did not show a significant difference in levels based on a specific protein source. However, it is clear that higher protein intake is associated with lower ghrelin levels. Ultimately, prioritizing more protein in your diet can effectively cue hunger and satiety signals through hormones like ghrelin. Therefore, it can reduce the risk of weight gain and possible risks of disease, including diabetes. On the other hand, there were inconclusive results based on what type of protein is most effective based on appetite control. So, it is important to fuel your body with the necessary protein that you respond best to, whether the protein be animal, source, plant, or both. It is recommended to include about 15 to 30 grams of protein per meal to allow for a more satisfying feeling after meals and reducing ghrelin levels that can lead to longer term effects like weight change. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed.